Alrighty then. So, hopefully you watched the. Oh, what's going on here? Hopefully you watched the first one, which, well, first one first, which showed about all the what the if statements are, and all that sort of stuff, because that sort of introduced what the hell I'm going on here. But obviously, if you're watching this one first, welcome. So, yeah, in the test on the topic list thing, obviously I put on the main things you need to look at in terms of the programming aspect is the if statements and the loops. So I'm just going to very quickly go through. Obviously in the last video I did about if statements. In this one I'm doing about loops. Okay, loops, we've not done an amazing amount of work on loops. We're sort of we've practiced a type of loop. We know that there's two different types of loop. Hopefully you remember that there's two different types of loop, but that's kind of about it. So I'm just going to very quickly go through it here to help you. So in terms of that, the first thing that might as well be said is that there is two different types of loop. Okay, so we've got the for loop and we've got a while loop. Okay, now if you ever forget what each type of loop is, the best way to remember it is a for loop is for a specific amount of times. So when you want the program to loop a specific amount of times. Okay, and a while loop is when basically it loops under the condition of a criteria. So while a criteria is being met, loop it, or while the criteria is not being met, loop it. Okay, so what we've done in the past, we've just very simply, the simplest type of loop is we would have just done a while true. Okay, now if we do a while true and indent that, because obviously we want it to be part of the loop, all that's simply doing is saying while, so the criteria is that the program is true, and obviously true or false, on or off, 1 or 0, whatever. So true is basically saying that the program is on. So while the program is on, loop it. So essentially all that means is as soon as I press run, so what colour is Pac-Man, I can type in yellow, correct, and then what colour is Pac-Man, and I can do that, whatever. And because the program is on, it's going to continuously loop. Okay, and obviously I haven't made it so that it breaks out the loop or anything like that. If I wanted it to break out the loop, let's say if I was wrong, it's well, that's game over, so we can just put break, and then when we run it, so I can type in yellow, fabulous, it's going to carry on going, whatever. If I type in blue, it's going to say wrong, and then as you can see there, it stopped looping because it's broken out of the loop. Okay, simple as that. So that's like a way of doing loops. It's pretty much the way that we looked at it, because it was just the easiest one at the time. Well, it is the easiest one in general. So that's an example of a while loop. Okay, obviously while true. Another, you can use while loops however you want. Okay, so another way you could do it, let's say for example we ask the question name equals input, if I can spell, you know I can't, what is your name? Okay, and then what we can do is we can use the while loop in a sort of criteria, and where we usually do a double equal sign for is equal to, if we do exclamation mark equal sign, that means is not equal to. So you could say while name is not Mr. Green, colon at the end, just like we did for while true. You could print that's not correct, try again, like so, and then because now we're inside the loop, you can just ask the question again. So name equals input, what is your name? Obviously it's a terrible example because obviously my name is Mr. Green, and if you were doing this it would not be ever correct and it would be an infinite loop, but it's just an example, deal with it. And then obviously, so that will keep going. Now if I go back, oh there we go, and do like a print correct, because this one, because it's not indented, that part is only going to show up if this criteria is met. Okay, so the criteria to make it loop is when the name is not Mr. Green. So basically when you answer the question, unless you put Mr. Green exactly like that, it's going to keep looping and looping and looping. Okay, as soon as it has Mr. Green, it should stop the loop and print correct. Alright, so if I press run now, it'll say, what is your name? I can type in Bob. That's not correct. Try again. What is your name? Okay, we're now in the loop. We are now not exiting this loop until Mr. Green is typed in, essentially. Okay, so I could type in Chris. Obviously, I mean, technically that is right, but whatever. Because obviously computers only see the specific thing we've asked it to. So it will keep going around. I could even put Mr. Green in lowercase and it'll still not count as correct, because remember, it's case sensitive. It needs to have the exact answer. Alright, so it'll keep going around and around and around. As soon as I type in Mr. Green the exact way that it is in my criteria, it stops looping and it says correct. Okay, so yeah, basically loops, the way that loops work, it's all about, well, while loop anyway, a while loop, it's all about meeting a specific criteria before it stops. Okay, or looping until whilst the criteria is being met, and as soon as that criteria is not met, then it stops. Okay, so for example, you could change it up slightly. I'll just change it how it is here. So you could have, like, let's say for example you're playing a game, so you could have lives equals 2, while, and we can have while lives is not, probably would have been quicker just to delete all this, to be fair. While lives is not 0. Yeah, I'm just going to, right, so while lives is not 0, print, you're not Alice, you're alive. So, and it will basically keep going like that until obviously I lose lives. Now at the moment it'll be an infinite loop because I haven't asked it to do anything else, so it's just going to consistently say you're alive. Like, I can scroll up, I can scroll down, you can see the scroll here is massive because it's consistently just saying you're alive. So then I could do like, I don't know, like life equals input, would you like to lose a life, like that, and then we can incorporate our if statement. So if life equals yes, we can do lives equals lives -1, else lives equals lives, let's do +1, why not? Alright, so now what's going to happen now is, let me just delete all this because there's too much for the program to actually do anything. So you're alive, would you like to lose a life? If I say no, it says you're alive, you would like to lose a life. In fact, what I'll do is I'll change that, so print lives, just so we know where we're at, and print lives. Let's try again. Okay, so it will say you're alive, would you like to lose a life? If I say no, it will say 3. Okay, so obviously my life started there at 2. I just pointed at the screen, realised I couldn't see that. So lives equals 2. I've said no, I don't want to lose a life, because of my programming it says +1, so now my lives are on 3. You're alive, would you like to lose a life? Now if I say yes, I'm now on 2. I say yes again, and notice how it's still looping because the criteria that we're looking for here is that the lives is not 0. Currently I'm on 1 life. Okay, so as soon as I add, if I spell it right, if I put yes now and press enter, I'm at 0 and the loop no longer works because I'm now at 0 lives. Therefore the criteria has been met and therefore it won't loop anymore. Okay, so while loops, you can use it so many different ways. You can do many different symbols, like you could change it to while lives is like, you can use the more than or equal sign, less than, more than or equal to, less than or equal to, all of those different symbols, sort of mathematical operators and all that sort of stuff in any way you want. But the main point of a while loop is that it follows a specific criteria. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if it doesn't. And then for a for loop, essentially it's to print out a specific thing a specific amount of times. Okay, so for a specific amount of times, print this. So for a very basic example, for I in range 10, print I. Now I is just the variable just because I's like one letter. It makes it very simple. And if I press run there, it's going to print 0 to 9, so 10 numbers basically. Okay, and just to show that's the variable, I could change that to potato, and as long as I keep it potato here, it's still going to work. Okay, you can also do a range between two numbers, so like 1 to 20. Okay, so what it's going to do there, it will start at 1 and it'll go all the way up to 19, because it starts at the initial one and goes up to the next one. Okay, if you want, so that's just numbers. All right, if I wanted to print something 3 times, so like obviously you've got like the whole thing of like that I wouldn't say a rumour, that sort of like old wives' tale or whatever, where if you say Beetlejuice into the mirror 3 times and he shows up, whatever. So you could literally have here print, if I can spell, like so, and if I press run, it's going to say Beetlejuice 3 times, and then he's going to kill me or something. I don't know how it works. It obviously won't, don't worry. Or rejoice, I don't know. Anyway, that's beside the point. So yeah, so for the for loop, its main purpose, it's not as diverse as the while loop, because the while loop you can use it for any specific criteria, whereas for the for loop it's for printing stuff multiple times, or doing a calculation multiple times. All right, because obviously after that colon you can put anything here, so you could have an actual specific bit of code, you could have a calculation. So obviously if you're doing like a mathematical program, you could have the for loop that can then like calculate something multiple times or whatever you want it to do. Okay, so yeah, so that's how loops work. All right, so just to recap, we've got the while loop, which loops as many times as you need it to until a certain criteria is met, and so that could go on forever. It could loop once, we just don't know. Okay, and then the for loop is for when you want to repeat a code a specific amount of times, essentially saying you know exactly how long you want it to loop for, and it will go from there. Okay, so like I said, I'll update the PowerPoint with, because there's a bit about SQL in there. Oh, hiccup, sorry. Which it's very, very easy. There's literally only one question about it, so it's not like a major thing. And hopefully these two recordings about programming stuff are helpful. If you have any other questions or anything like that, just obviously drop me an email, because obviously I might not see some of you until your tests are over, sort of thing, because obviously it's next Friday, the unit 1 one. Obviously this is unit 2, so you've got a bit more time, but still. But yeah, so if you do have any more questions, obviously let me know. If you want to come pop by at lunchtime or something like that, just drop me an email to let me know, because then I'll know to stay in my room so I can help you. But if I'm not in my room, just go to the office and I'll be in the staff room. I'm either in the staff room or in my room. They're literally only 2 places I go into school, so it's quite easy to find me. All right, so yeah, just let me know, and yeah, if I don't see you, good luck. You'll be fine. I'm very proud. You're doing great.